So, do you find it easy to pray and never give up? I bet for most, your answer is an honest no. Prayer can be a struggle for us, and so often we quit before we've had any breakthrough. Jesus knows that we're prone to losing heart and giving up on prayer. That's why he told this story in Luke 18. Verse 1 says this. One day, Jesus told his disciples a story to show that they should always pray and never give up. Now, let's just stop right there after verse 1. Before we read any further, why do we give up on prayer? Well, there's probably lots of reasons, but I think there's two of them that tie into this story. First, we don't think we need prayer because we think we're in charge of our own life. And a second reason is we don't like to wait for anything, right? We want immediate answers or we quickly take things into our own hands. Doesn't that sound familiar? Can you see that in your own life? I sure can see it in mine. So let's read the rest of the story and see what Jesus is telling us. It says there's a judge and he's in a certain city, and he said, this judge neither feared God nor cared about people. A widow of that city came to him repeatedly, saying, "Give me justice in this dispute with my enemy." The judge ignored her for a while, but finally he said to himself, "I don't fear God or care about people, but this woman is driving me crazy. I'm going to see that she gets justice because she is wearing me out with her constant requests." Now, stop right there. What's going on in this story? You've got this wicked judge who says it himself that he doesn't fear God or care about people. Great. What kind of justice will he bring? Then you've got this widow that in those days would be completely helpless without a husband to support her, and there wouldn't be any life insurance plan to fall back on. See, someone has clearly taken advantage of her, and she wants things made right. Well, the judge takes one look at her and figures, she's not going to be giving me any bribe, and he has many others who would reward him handsomely if he took their cases. So he refuses to give her any help. He tells his bailiff to escort her out of the courtroom, and he thinks, well, that's the last I'll see of her. Wrong. He no sooner heads home for lunch, and she's following him. When he comes back to work, there she is again. Every morning, she's parked at the door of the courthouse, waiting for him to show up. Every day, he tells her to get lost. He can't get rid of her. And finally, after weeks of this, he gives up and begrudgingly helps her just to get her off his back. So what's the lesson here? Keep pestering God and eventually he'll give in? Well, no. Listen to what Jesus says in the next verse, verses 6-8. Then the Lord said, "Learn a lesson from this unjust judge. Even he rendered a just decision in the end. So don't you think God will surely give justice to his chosen people who cry out to him day and night? Will he keep putting them off? I tell you, he will grant justice to them quickly. But when the Son of Man returns, how many will he find on the earth who have faith?" Okay, so what's the point here? Before you think that God is like that reluctant, selfish judge, he's not. God is not like the judge. He actually cares for us and is more than ready to answer our prayers and will bring justice. When you know that God is a good judge, then you pray knowing that God never delays answers because of a lack of care or a lack of power. He cares and he is fully able. God's delays are always with our good in mind, even if we can't see the reasons. Don't miss this main point. You can find it in the question that Jesus asks in the very last verse. And he says this, "But when the Son of Man returns, how many will he find on earth who have faith?" In other words, Jesus is asking us, how many of you will keep on praying? Or will you give up on prayer? That's a very convicting question. How would you answer that today? You see, God loves faith. Faith is trusting and believing God even while we wait. Faith will keep you praying and never giving up because you have a good God that will come through. So don't lose heart. Have faith and keep on praying because that's courageous living.